Hi folks, it's Todd with Survival Sherpa. We're going to be talking about natural tinders today, and in my state, or in my location in my state of Georgia, out here is we've got a lot of fat lighter, or as a lot of people in the bushcraft community call it, fat wood. We grew up calling it fat lighter, or fat lightered, or lighter stump. And I've got a little sampling of that. Another natural tinder that I found very useful is tulip poplar, which we're going to talk about in just a moment. But tulip poplar bark can be found on dead limbs off of tulip poplars, because when they begin to grow high up in a dense forest, they're fighting for the light in the canopy. So as they grow really fast, and their limbs, the lower limbs, die. They shed those limbs, and those limbs, if they're off the ground, can be the bark can be peeled off and used for an excellent tinder. Okay. Then the third tinder that I wanted to talk about in Georgia, here in my area, is cedar bark. Let's look at, first off, the cedar. Okay. Now I've got a little bit of cedar here, and all you're doing with this stuff is you're just breaking it up. Just shredding it just like that. You're just breaking it down into its fibers, and this stuff really breaks down a lot easier than tulip poplar. Okay, if you can find a piece of this off of a cedar tree, it just really breaks down. It shreds into just hair-like fibers. One of my other favorite tinders. Okay, so I've already processed down and shredded a little bit of it here. We're going to see if we can't get that to light, and we're going to use this rock right here as our scraper. And there we go. So we've got a good fire going with that, and that's cedar right there. Okay, now we're going to save that, move it out of the way so that we don't catch that on fire again. Another bark that I really like, again, is the tulip poplar bark. Now it takes a little bit more as far as working on shredding this stuff to really get to those fine fibers. Now obviously if you're doing something with a primitive method, friction fire method, you really want to process this down more. Woo! Well, that one's going, but it was a tougher, that really gets a lot finer than this, I mean, this cedar bark is really a lot finer, and it doesn't take much to process it down, to shred it into, put out that fire, to shred it into really fine pieces. But anyway, I'll just mention it real quick. I'll put a link in the bottom to give you an idea of what this is and what to look for. If you can see this, it's just a piece of sooty mold. On the beech trees in late summer, early fall, the woolly aphid gets on the beech trees limbs, not all of them, but some of them, and it secretes its honeydew on the limbs. Well, this black mold right here, this fungus or this mold grows and eats that honeydew off of the aphid, off the honeydew of an aphid. And it forms, and sometimes you can find them, you know, orange size, and they make a really good fire extender. They will also catch with take a spark from a ferro rod. They're not going to flame up, but you could transfer this into a tinder bundle like we have over here and blow that into a flame. Okay, go ahead and tear that off and give me a little more surface area here. See if we can't get a fire off of this. Okay, it's going. I'm hoping you can see that. That's that sooty mold off of a beech tree. Now that right there burns really hot when you add some oxygen to it, and So we can put that in our tinder bundle here and blow that into a flame just like we would an ember from a primitive friction fire. Just like that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put this in my fire pit over there. I'm going to make some chaga tea here in just a second. Now the last tinder, which is my all-time favorite here in Georgia, and that is the fat lighter, or as we call it growing up, fat lightered. I don't know, we put a D on the end of it for some reason. Alright, so this stuff is an amazing tinder with spark ignition. Of course, I'm using a rock as my scraper, so we can see that burn right there. I hope you can see my flame, but that stuff right there will, it takes a spark really well from a ferro rod, open flame, match, lighter, anything you've got. It's going to burn really well. Put that on a piece of bark, put it into my fire. But just for demonstration purposes, you can see that stuff really burns really well. All right, so that's it today, guys. I'm haven't been out in the woods and for quite a while, and I'm really missing being here. So I'm glad you stayed with me for just a little quick demonstration on 3 of my favorite tinder sources in the Georgia woodlands that I roam. So got me a little pot here. Got me some chaga. We're about to make some tea. You guys have a Merry Christmas, and I'll see you on the next one. And remember to keep doing the stuff with self-reliance. Take care.